When you use the internet, what happens? Whether you go online to chat with a friend, or send mail, or buy a book, or check the weather, watch a movie, or study the Peloponnesian War, it feels like there's one wire connecting you directly to the thing you want. But a billion other people are connecting to a billion other things at the same time. How does that happen? It's really about making agreements. Think of networking as a game. It only works if we agree to play by the same rules. Otherwise, it's not much fun. If you can get 2 or more computers to play together, you have a network. If your friend can do it too, there's another network. But if you both agree that your networks will play the same way, now you can hook the 2 together. You have an internetwork. The rules we play by are called the Internet Protocol. And as long as we all agree, we can keep adding more devices and more networks until the whole world is connected. That's what the Internet is, a network of networks that share each other. Every device on the Internet has its own unique address. Anything you send via Internet is really just a message from one device to another. But it doesn't travel in one big block. It gets pulverized into tiny packets of data, each one wrapped with info about what it is, where it came from, and where it's going. This way, your one message can actually take several different paths to its destination. Then, by following the protocol, the receiving device knows how to put it all back together. The strength of the Internet is that it's decentralized. With so many possible connections, there is no single point of failure. If one path gets overloaded or broken, your data just takes a different path. Even if a big chunk of the Internet gets wiped out, your message can still find its way. But let's say you use one Internet provider and your friend is on a different one. How does your data really get from one network to the other? Some companies make private connections with each other to exchange traffic. But more and more traffic is flowing through shared service platforms we call Internet exchange points. An Internet exchange is a place where many different organizations come together to interconnect their technology. There may be access providers, broadcasters, publishers, social network sites, telecom operators. Really, anybody who relies on network traffic can benefit from the exchange. By connecting in a common place, they save costs, and the traffic between them flows faster and much more efficiently. Traditionally, providers have sold each other passage on their networks. But for some providers who regularly exchange traffic, all that buying and selling can get to be more trouble than it's worth. Many of them saw that if they just agree to meet each other halfway, then everybody's costs go down and the traffic moves more smoothly. Providers are able to make a single connection to the platform to exchange traffic with many participants. This way of doing things is called peering, and it's making the Internet faster and more affordable for everybody. The exchange participants make deals with each other according to mutual benefit, so the peering system tends to regulate itself. It may seem like companies are giving away their services, but in fact, each is providing their part of the whole solution their customers need to most efficiently and reliably exchange traffic. The Internet is open, decentralized, and totally neutral. Its intelligence lives at the edge, not in the core. No single organization controls it, and that's why it works as well as it does. By agreeing to cooperate, we all make the Internet happen. And that's how the Internet happens.
So we are going to continue. This video was just giving you some highlight to understand that what is an internet exchange point. So we are going to proceed with our presentation. So as you heard from the video, an exchange point is just a facility that helps different network providers to talk to each other. It's just a facility that helps network providers, content providers, banks, government, anyone with content, just to connect together and exchange what we call internet traffic. So that switch that you are seeing here, you will see the members. If you are a bank, maybe you are here. If you are a telco, if you are coming from a school where you have some content, online school for kids. So the exchange point will help you to connect your traffic so that your traffic will stay local. So the internet exchange point is part of the internet ecosystem, and it represents a vital way to increase affordability and quality of connectivities in local community. So I'll talk later about how this service that we have in Rwanda can facilitate in terms of affordability and as well the quality of connectivity. IXP are normally dispersed across countries, so it's not only in Rwanda. If you see my second slide, you'll see that IXP in Africa, we have more than 50 IXPs. As you can see from the graph, from our neighbors going to South Africa, even in West, wherever, we have in each country actually. As of today, if I'm not mistaken, I believe each country has its own exchange points. So exchange points are just, as I mentioned, it's just a switch. So today, as Richter, as majority of you know, we have our facility. We are located at Telecom House in Kachiru, and this is where this facility that I'm talking about, the exchange point, this is where it is located in the data center. So RINEX is beneficial for businesses, for government, for institutions and bank, and any other person or any other institution that has content that is localized in Rwanda. Why? This is because the majority of your traffic or their traffic is local. For instance, let me give you an example. We have some bank, I have seen like Zigama, I have seen BNR and others. These banks, they have online services that are accessed by Rwandans, which means their traffic is mainly local. Apart from the banks, we can give an example of schools. Schools have online services that are accessed by their students. That content is local as well. And majority of the people that are accessing that content are based locally as well. So now, by exchanging that traffic within people who are already connected at the exchange point, the internet will become less congested and more efficient. I believe in the room we have technical people, because the keywords that I'm using here are more of technical, but if you have any other question where you feel you are not getting it properly, please just write your question in the chat box, then I'll respond later. So the internet, when you are on the exchange point, and then you exchange your traffic, which is local, the internet will become less congested and more efficient to your users, to your clients. And this will lead to improved performance on application and your website. By applications, I mean those online services for banks, either the online e-learning platform or e-learning website for schools. So once you are connected to the exchange point, the accessibility from the people who are connecting to it is more faster and more reliable. So the next slide, I'll give you examples here. This is just a common scenario. Now you'll see the yellow box where it's written institution network. Sorry, I made an error. They replace your organization by the institution network. That is Zigama or BRD or whoever. So now Zigama, they have different sources where they buy internet capacity. For instance, they might be buying their capacity from either ISP1, which can be BSC. They can be buying the internet traffic from ISP2, which can be MTN or KTRN and others. So the black arrow means local traffic, and the red one means the international traffic. I will explain this. So assuming this is Zigama CSS, with the red arrow, today, because Zigama is not yet on the exchange point, they must have normally 2 links in case ISP1 has an issue. At least they have a redundant link which goes to ISP2. If BSC is down, at least they have another link that comes maybe from Liquid Telecom. That traffic or that bandwidth that they get from these service providers is what we call international traffic, because it does not go through the exchange point. And to get that traffic, they pay, here we just mentioned dollars, but maybe you are paying even in Rwandan francs. So you pay a certain fee to these service providers to get that capacity. Now, down there, you'll see RINEX. On RINEX, we have all the operators that we have in Rwanda. Those are KTRN, BSC, Liquid, GVA, and others. All those are connected already to the exchange point. So which means your institution, even though it's not yet on RINEX, at least all the operators in Rwanda and telcos, they are all connected to the exchange point. So what happens? You as an institution who is buying capacity from an ISP and you buy a local traffic, you buy a bandwidth that is supposed to be local, but since you are not at the exchange point, you buy it as an international. So the next slide. But before even I go to the next slide. So today, what does it mean? Use Zigama in the yellow box. If you have an issue with ISP1, I know you will still rely on ISP2. But how often do you use ISP2? And yet you normally incur some fees, some monthly fees on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis for a link that you sometimes don't use fully. Now, if ISP1 is down, you will rely on ISP2 or ISP3 if you have 3 different ISPs. Now, assuming that both of them goes down, if they have the same path, if they're coming maybe from a same channel, let me just use like channel. If they go through the same path and ISP1 goes down, at the same time like ISP2, we have seen this. I don't think it's the first time you hear that. You try to access maybe online services of a certain bank, and you see that their services are completely off. Sometimes not even an issue that is an internal. Sometimes you will find that it's the operator or the ISP providing them internet. Both of them are completely off. It might be a fiber issue. It might be another issue that is out of their control. So what happens to this institution? We are still talking about the bank. This is an online service that me as an end user, me as a client, that I need on a daily basis. People don't queue. Now, thanks to COVID that is here, I don't go to the bank anymore. I just go to my phone and access online services, and I withdraw or transfer or whatever transaction that I need. So what happened to your client now? When those two service providers are off, the international link is off, or sometimes it's not even an issue in country, it's something related outside of Rwanda. Because as you heard, internet, it's a link of interconnected. So we are buying capacity, maybe from Uganda, maybe from TZ, maybe from Kenya, depending on the path where it goes through. Sometimes it's not even an issue that is controlled by our local ISP. Sometimes it's outside of Rwanda and you have to wait. So what happened? Your clients are affected. They can't access your online services. This is a loss for a company. This is a loss for a business if it is an outage that can take more than 1 or 2 hours where your services are not accessible. This is a huge loss for a company. So the next slide. Now, what happens when you connect to RINEX? I'm still coming back to the same figure of a network institution where you will just replace it by the name of the organization. Assuming it is BRD here. Now BRD would like to go to the exchange point because they have understood the reason to why they need to join or why they need to have this service. So you'll see that the black arrow, which means the local traffic, and the red arrow is still the international traffic. So when BRD join the exchange point, it doesn't mean that they will kill all the path for, as in they will not kill the service that they were getting from the service providers. Those are MTN and Liquid. So they still need them. Why? Today, if you want to access, for instance, let me talk about CNN. You want to watch news on CNN, you'll still need internet connectivity. But today, if you want to access a service that is available in Rwanda, like online services of Rwanda Revenue or Irembo or other services that are made for Rwandans, you don't need an international link for that. You will need just this arrow, the black one that goes to RINEX. So in this case, BRD, which is still there, they still have a link to MTN, to BSC, but as well, they have a backup link to RINEX, which means if there is any outage on ISP1 or ISP2, the local services will still be accessible by Rwandans. So they will not be affected. So our value proposition is here. I don't know if people, you got time to understand, but I'll give you time as well to ask your question. So when you are connected to the exchange point, at least you are sure that you will have 24/7 online service availability. Why? Let me go back here. Even though ISP1 goes off and ISP2 goes off, the link to RINEX is local. There's no international, as in RINEX does not go through other paths like Tanzania, or this is a local service that is available in Rwanda. So whenever you have any issue with any of these service providers, you will still have access to your services. Your client will still access your services. So I'm talking about the online services, but as well the e-learning service. Higher efficiency, I think I spoke about it. Today, let me go back to the same figure. Today, BRD, when you are connected to the exchange point and you have your customers who want to access your services, they will be accessing a service that is based in Rwanda. When you are not on RINEX, it means people, for them to access your services, the traffic has to travel across, goes maybe to Uganda, Tanzania, and wherever, to come back just to fetch one page. But once your service is connected to the RINEX, you are accessing a local service. Ni nkuko waba wohereza mobile money to another mobile money user in Rwanda. This is local. Nta hantu bihuriye na international. Greater resilience as well, and better user experience. While accessing your application, so you are accessing an application or a service that is based in Rwanda. You don't need internet. You don't need to go on internet to have that service. Redundancy in case of international link failures, just in case you have any issue on any of your service providers or telecom that give you internet, you will still be accessing your services in Rwanda. So on the side of the benefits, it keeps the local traffic local. That is, I mentioned about online services of Rwanda Revenue. If you have a service that is in Rwanda, you don't need international transit, you don't need international capacity to access content ziri mu Rwanda. For instance, let me give you another example. Today, when you are sending an email from BNR to BK, if BNR and BK are not on the exchange points, it means your email irava muri network ya BNR, inyura muri path, all path where they get the transit from, just to come back to BK. Yet, this is a local link. Ini email iri mu Rwanda. You don't need to go outside of Rwanda to pass through ahantu hose your internet yabinyura to come back to receive an email on BK. So once you are on the exchange point, that exchange of email, the sending and receiving will be done locally. It doesn't go overseas. So another benefit is the quality of connectivity, that is your customers. So today I'm happy to say that we have one guest, Turaza kumwakira nyuma, who is coming from Rwanda Revenue. They will talk about how RINEX has helped or has facilitated and improved the services that the customers used to have. So they will give us their testimony with regard before they joined RINEX and after. What happened? Did it improve the service that the customers were getting? Arikonami, you know, today if you go online services of Rwanda Revenue, is it a service that is hard to access today? What changed? So Rwanda Revenue is among our clients. They have joined the exchange point, I think, since 3 years ago. And you will hear more about them. They will talk themselves. So another benefit is more on accessibility of local content, even when the international link is off. So you will still have access to either your online services, e-banking and e-learning. When I was doing the introduction, I spoke about the savings, affordability. So affordability here, especially when you talk about numbers, you need to come up with exact number. People need to see proof. For instance, nafashe urugero, but this is not the traffic of Rwanda Revenue. This was just an example. Assuming today, Rwanda Revenue, they have 75 megabytes per second that is exchanged locally. That is traffic yo mu Rwanda itajya hanze. And today we have a certain ISP, maybe BSC, and they are charging 1 meg 181,000 Rwandan francs. So since when you will be on the exchange point, that traffic of 75 Mbps, if you do calculation with the monthly charges that you are normally paying per Mbps, this is a cost that you'll be saving for your organization and saving for your country. Because this traffic will stay local, this money will stay local. So the next slide. Here now I'm going a bit too technical. I'll talk about the infrastructure requirements. So what do you need to join the exchange point? So the yellow part, it shows your network. This is mainly your network, internal mail servers and others. The orange part, this is the IXP transport link. So I mentioned that we are located at Telecom House. So for you to join and be a member of RINEX, you will need to have a fiber link, a fiber termination that will come from your office to our RINEX, that is to Telecom House. This needs to be a separate link that is different from the other ones that you use, because that one will be mainly local. So now you can see the green part is where our RINEX is. And to join RINEX, actually, you just need to connect to a port. So there are certain fees that you need to pay to join, from a 10 Mbps to a 10 gig link. So basically, as infrastructure requirement, what you need to know on your side to join this, you need to have that transport link that's a fiber or copper that comes from where your application or your services are stored or hosted to Telecom House. So you need what we call as well ASN, which is an identification of your organization on the internet. ASN is autonomous system numbers, but we'll get time to talk more about it later in other meetings. And what we call public IP resources. I believe all of you guys know what is an IP. And these two components, you normally get them from an entity in Africa that is called AfriLink. AfriLink, they are the ones that can only provide ASN and public IP resources to your organization. And as well, you'll need a router. A router, I think you have seen it. Let me go back here. Yes, you'll see from your edge router in the yellow section to connect into our exchange point, you need a router that has BGP capabilities. So majority of you, of this institution, banks, and even schools, I believe majority of you guys have these routers in-house. So what will be required mainly is just that separate link, a fiber link that goes to Telecom House, those resources that you get from AfriLink. With regard to cost implication, that ASN that I was talking about, it costs $400. This is just a one-time fee, and you pay a membership fee of $200 per year. IP resources, the smallest block of IPs cost $2,500. And again, this is one-time fee. Once you start, then the next year you start just paying for membership fees. Like for instance, if you join this year, it means by next year we'll be only paying $200 to AfriLink. The transport cost, which is that fiber termination from where your servers or your cache or your content, where it is to Telecom House, this is a link that you normally get from your service provider, that is BSC or MTN, and you pay for a certain fee depending on the capacity that you want. It might be 10 Mbps, but those are just average of the prices that we got from their website. And then you have to pay for that spot on the exchange point, ranging from 10 Mbps. For instance, for the 10 Mbps, actually below 50 Mbps, we give it for free. You come, you enjoy, you see how the service goes, and then once you feel you are now comfortable, then you can be a member. We give normally 2 months period, I think 2 or 3 months of test, and then you can upgrade later to a 50 Mbps or 100. So as of today, we are expecting few customers. Majority of them are already on the call, BNR and BRD. And this is an opportunity as well for other banks who have content, who have critical services that are accessed by Rwandans to get this opportunity and get back to us. So we are available in the chat. I'll ask our team to just put the email address and phone number of people that you can reach out in case you need any other clarification that you did not get from this presentation. But in the meantime, I would like to request Claudine. Claudine is from Rwanda Revenue to just come and share the experience since they joined RINEX. What changed in Rwanda Revenue? What changed with regard to the services that they are giving to their clients? So Claudine, you are welcome.
Thank you, Glass, to invite me in this webinar. First of all, I'm called Claudine Ibikusenge. I'm working in the RRA as a senior network admin. I'm here to share with you the benefit that we have after we joined the RINEX. Before joining RINEX, we was having two links, BSC and MTN. But those links, our online services was having public IP for BSC. And when BS went down, no one from outside can access those services because we for us it was not able, we were not able to change the public IPs to change to the MTN link that we have as the backup. Then another challenge that we had before joining RINEX, we used to have the congestion on our links because our local traffic and international traffic was not split, was together, was not split as Grace said in their presentation. And another challenge that we were having a bad performance for the taxpayers who were accessing our online services. Those are the many issues that was having before joining the RINEX. After joining the RINEX, the performance on our link was improved, and we have a better quality of services for the one who are able to access that services. Another benefit that RINEX, another benefit is having our own IPs, and even if our transport, our ISP goes down, we don't even have any problem that our online services are not be accessible. Even if BSC is down, then the link goes automatically to MTN, and the people are still working without any complaint. Then another benefit that we have is our local traffic is still local. They don't go to the internet. And for the other people who are joining RINEX, they can access our service as fast as possible. Even if for the people who are not on the RINEX, they can access it, but the accessibility is very fast than what we have before joining that RINEX. And until now, since we started using RINEX, our link does not have the congestion, because now our traffic is split in two. There is internal traffic that is accessible internally, and the international traffic can be accessed through our transport ISP like BSC or MTN. I think those are the benefits that RINEX was giving us, and our customer are not complaining about those performances or those accessibility of our services, even if our ISP have a problem, like Grace said, the fiber cut or their international link. When their international link goes down, I think this is my presentation. I submit.
So thank you, Claudine. Thank you so much. I think you have heard about the experience and journey from Rwanda Revenue, and I'm among their customers because I pay taxes. I can testify since they joined RINEX, their services really improved. You just go on their website, you get the response is immediate. So thank you so much, Claudine, for being here. So we are almost at the end of our session. I'm going to, if you have any question, please feel free, unmute yourself. We give you 1 minute per participant, and then you ask your question. Or those who don't want to talk, they can still put their question in the chat section. But we are giving you as well this opportunity to talk. Feel free, Rwanda, in whatever language that you feel comfortable, please move on.
Chair, may I?
Yes, please, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Claudine, for sharing the good experience. As you stated, we are in the process to connect to RINEX, and we do hope that most of the challenges that we have will be solved. But I wanted to know exactly about the availability of the switch, as you said. So how do you calculate the availability of the service, meaning the participants who are connected to RINEX? Do we sign any SLA in regards to the availability of the service? So that is one of my questions. The second question is about the security. So are there any other further measures or best practices that we have to put in place, or you put in place, so that we make sure that our link are secure? So these are two of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I'll respond one by one. So Emmanuel, from your first question with regard to service availability, so yes, indeed, we have an SLA document that you normally sign once you are onboarded as a client, and we normally it includes 99.9 service availability of this of RINEX. Reason being, why did we put the 99%? It's because we have a redundant, we have backup. So once our RINEX, the main one is, maybe it can have I'm a technical person from the background. I know you can still have issues, you can still have an issue on RINEX, but once it goes off, we have already a backup. So that's why we normally provide 99% service availability, and there is a document that you normally sign. So on that, you can cross-check with Rwanda Revenue, who is on the call. You will hear from them their experience since they joined RINEX. So question number 2 with regard to security and best practices. So while setting up the RINEX at the beginning, I remember back in 2014, for Rwanda, for the regulator to give you that mandate to manage that service for the country, there are guidelines, in terms of technical, there are best practices that you have to follow to have an exchange point that is established and following best practices worldwide. So for that purpose, I can testify that since we started our operation in 2014, we can talk to all our members. We have never had any security breaches so far, thanks God, and we hope it will never happen. So we have, and as well, we have monitoring tools that with our technical team that they normally check on a daily basis to see what is happening on the network. So on that, by the way, it's more secure to connect to RINEX as a local service that is available in Rwanda that is even following the best practices than just connecting to an operator. I'm not here to kill our operators, but even the operators, they have a long path. You don't know what is happening between those nodes where you are buying capacity from. So on that, I can say that we follow the standard, the best practices for this exchange point, which is RINEX. So any other question? Rwanda, feel free. I can see that we have schools, AUKA. I believe you have online or e-learning services for your school. Please feel free. Nta kibazo mwagize. Okay, I can see someone from Richter. He has just mentioned something in the chat, which is more technical. Okay, yes, Theodomir.
Do you mind to talk about prices? Because I think if a company wants to join you, you give an IP. That's what I think. Eh? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Theodomir.
Yes, do you mind to talk about prices, or you can talk later? That's one. Two, if you can share the other document via emails, it can also help. Thank you.
Theodomir, which institutions are you representing?
I mean, if you can share the presentation, your presentation, the one you presented for review purpose.
Yes, we will share the presentation later, but I'm just asking, which institution are you representing?
I'm representing the BRD.
BRD.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have requested people to write their names and the organization they are representing and their email addresses so that we can share those presentation and other documents that you might need later on to their respective emails. So please write in the chat, put your name, organization, and email address, then you will get the slide, even other documents. So with regard to the prices, I mentioned it, I think, in the previous slide, where I spoke about the transport costs, that is the fiber termination from your premises where your services are hosted to telecom house. So this is a fiber link that you normally request from your service provider, either BSC or Liquid, and it depends on the capacity that which you want to equal. For instance, the prices that I had mentioned earlier, I presented a 10 Mbps link, which normally costs around 500 Rwandan francs per month. But these are the costs that if you are really interested, you can talk easily to your transporter, either Liquid or MTN. They can share with you all the price details. So apart from that, there is another implication, which are the IP resources and ASN. I mentioned that the ASN costs $400, which is a one-time fee, and $200 membership fees. Those are annual fees that are recurring. But for the first time, when you want to join RINEX, you need IP resources, and I mentioned that the smallest block costs $2,500 plus that ASN, which is close to now $2,900, and that's one-time fee. On an annual basis, you'll just be paying $200. So it's an investment that you do once, but on a yearly basis, you'll just be paying $200 to RINEX for those resources. The transport costs, I know you guys know that you normally pay internet for the local service providers, but you have to pay as well a port on RINEX. We said that a port that is below 50 Mbps, we give it for free for a certain time. Once your traffic starts growing and you reach a 50 Mbps, you can upgrade and start paying. So that port of 50 Mbps costs $195K, which is close to 200,000 Rwandan francs per month. That's the smallest port, the 50. But if you have more content, you can upgrade to 100, 1 gig, and 10 gig. So all this, the presentation, the link to our prices, or the other document, we'll share them on your respective emails. So any other question?
Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
Ni nk'akabazo k'amatsiko, just urebye ntabwo ari ikibazo cyane, ariko iyo urebye ibyiza bya RINEX, nibaza impamvu kuki most of the institutions zititabira ku bwinshi yenda kugira ngo twikonekite twese kuri RINEX, kuko nk'uko bisobanurwa n'uko tunabonye experience from RRA yenda n'abandi iyo bajoininga bari kuduha good experience. But why do we still have a few number of institutions connected to RINEX? Haba hari any challenge cyangwa se yenda ni awareness itarabageraho neza? It is just to know why. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for that good question. A very good one indeed. So RINEX imaze close to 6-7 years. I think I mentioned that all operators, ISPs, they are all connected to RINEX. All these big players bose turabafite as our members. So what we did once we acquired all the telcos and ISPs, let's now venture and interest other people who have content. For instance, the bank sector, financial institutions, schools. So, so we engaged Rwanda Revenue among our pioneers, barabyumva, and they were onboarded 3 years ago. So turakomeza, we got BK. BK is connected to the exchange point as well. Turakomeza no mundi ayandi mabank. But majority of them, the response was like, yes, turabyumva, we understand, but why is BNR not on the exchange point? So the same question we were asking, so when we approached bank, they were like, BNR. So we had to change in the middle of our way and start with the national bank. Let's onboard the national bank. Once the national bank is onboarded, it will be very easier to penetrate the market. Bank users. Since BNR is already among our prospects, and on the journey, by the way, BRD now do it at Tuibona, and Today, turavuga, let's start webinars. We invite tuzagira sessions zitandukanye talking about different topics. Today it was just a general one to understand what RINEX is, akamaro kayo, and how you can join. But we'll have more sessions with technical people. Why did we engage the technical people? It's because ni mwege mu managing iyi network. Sometimes akenshi approach twakoreshaga, we will go to the CEO's office. You knock to the CEO's office, yet the technical personnel is not even aware about that service. Ugasanga CEO yabaza director of ICT or whoever ko babita kose, ugasanga that person is not even aware. So turavuga, yes, the CEOs understand, the high level management, they understand. Let's engage the technical people because they're the one managing the network on a daily basis. So once you understand this, it will be very easier from you as the focal point within the organization who manage the network, take it to the senior management. This is a recommendation that we are getting internally, that this is service akamaro naka n'abandi basanzwe bayikorera nibibagenze, then it will be much easier for us now to go back to the CEO's door, knock on their door, bazabazi, we are on the same page. The technical people understand. Now the CEO can finally or can easily process that request. So it's a journey that we are taking. And again, today we started with if I can call it private sector. We are going to continue with several webinars. Zaba zirimo na technical, BGP, router, and whatever. Tuzagira session yazo nanone, but we are engaging as well the government. Government nayo nindi section to remote to gerageza onboarding nabo ariko bo tuzabagira on a separate webinar. Today was more of private institution, bank, n'abandi bose. So we believe by having you on board, you'll be our testimonials. Ni mwebwe muzajya muri organization yanyu, ni mwebwe muzaba ambassadors to talk about this service n'akamaro kayo. So Claudette has shared her experience. Utaha tuzazana even BK. We must kwahere kuri Rwanda Revenue, but BK will be our next guest. Na uzavuga akamaro RINEX yabamariye. So feel free to email bashize muri chat in case you need anything, in case you need clarification, please feel free to reach out to us. Haba hari ikindi kibazo? Any other question? Tuzakora more webinars, more session. Maybe kubatabyumvise for the first time, we'll get an opportunity to redo it, to have session with technical people now. Muganira n'aba technical people bagusobanurira your route, your BGP capabilities navuze, izo transport, bamwe mushobora kuba mwicaye muri office mubona commercial department ari dealing nabyo, you don't know what happens. So we'll have more technical session with the technical team as well. Ariko, overall, any other question?
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes, please, Nobel.
Yeah, thank you so much for this session. It was so very helpful. And like you mentioned, it would be much better if we have more sessions with those technical guys who will be explaining more about this RINEX, of which, from my point of view, I understand it's very advantageous. It is very advantageous, can I say? But it would be very helpful if we get such people on board. Come and make more clarity on this, so that, because that is one of the reasons why you may not be even gaining more of government institutions coming on board to be your clients, whatever. Maybe something is a bit confusing. Okay, so please, I wish you prepare many sessions, like you said, to convince people, to make people understand, and it would be much better if I can give a hint. If you can provide like some kind of a trial period, some people, some organization, you give them a chance. First try it out, maybe 1 month or 2 months, regardless of the bandwidth they'll be having or they'll be consuming, whatever. Then from there they can take decisions based on the experiences they gained from the services. I think that would be helpful to Richter as well. Otherwise, thanks a lot, and I would be very grateful to join more sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nobel. Which organization are you coming from?
I'm from University of Kigali.
Okay. Did you share your contact in the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay. So thank you so much, Nobel. So as I mentioned, we'll organize more sessions. Kugira ngo mubyumve, this was just an introductory one. With regard to ikibazo wabajije, if we can have more people, more organization on RINEX, yes, we provide, if I can call it, test periods. Yoyo turayitanga for 2 to 3 months, and we give it at free. Nibyo navugaga, for a capacity that is less 50 Mbps. We provide it at less than 10 Mbps. It's free of charge. Ariko again, even if it is free of charge, we are giving it free of charge for a certain time. Remember, there are even other implications navuze. Iriya transport, so you still need to have that transport that you get from your service providers. You will still need IP resources and ASN from RINEX. So ibyo rero, on our side, twege twariteguye to provide such facility kugira ngo tworohereza abantu to get that service. Ariko nanone, you still need to get those 2 other services. The service from RINEX and Neo transport costs, transport link from the service provider. Ariko turahari, if you need that test period, feel free to reach out to us. We can see how we can facilitate on that. Any other question? Okay, so ndumva nta kindi kibazo gihari. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who attended the webinar. Thank you for taking your 1 hour of the afternoon to be here. As promised, we'll organize more. We'll have more webinars, more sessions, even flexible to ask any question. This was just a 1 hour. Ariko ibindi tuzajya dufata umwanya muremure tubasobanurire neza with diagrams, with everything, with the technical team. So mwakoze, for those who have shared their email addresses on the chat, we'll share the presentation and other documents mwaho mukeneye zose. So thank you so much. Umugoroba mwiza.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.